The next one I'm going to talk about is the bend. There's several different bends that there's a whole bunch of different bends to go over, but the main basic one that everybody starts off with is you know, we're going to use that A minor pentatonic, and we're going to come over here to the 7th fret with your ring finger on the G string, and you're going to use all 3 of your fingers, your first, your middle, and your ring finger all on that same string, and you're going to bend it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about steps. When people, when you're talking about a step in music, it's going from A, B, C, D, and if they're in that scale, if there's a skip on, you know, you have to skip the flats in some scales, skip the sharps and scales. When you do that, you're going 2 notes, 2 frets down, like this, or like this. If it's a half a step, you only go 1 fret. Alright, so for this first bend, we want our bend to sound like a half step higher, and it's called a half step bend. And the way you do it is you bend your note up until you sound like that next fret. That's the note you want. So you come over here to the 7th fret and you bend it up until you hear it match with this note. Same on the 8th fret, I mean on the B string. If you wanted to go on the 8th fret, excuse me, you want it to sound like the 9th fret, you would go same thing with the E string. If you wanted to sound like the 9th fret, see how it sounds like it, but it has a different tone to it. You know, you can hear the difference when you just play a note versus bending the note, bending another note to it. Alright, the next one we're going to talk about is the whole step bend, and what that is you're trying to make this note sound like 2 frets up. Right there, that's the note you want. So, you know, that was on the G string on the 7th fret. I bent it to make it sound like it was the 9th fret. Alright, next on the B string, we're going to go to the 8th fret, and we want it to sound like the 10th fret. Alright, you know, once you do this a few times, you'll get to where you know where that whole step is, or that half step is. You know, that's 3 steps up. I actually made it sound like that's a step and a half. That's a whole step and a half bend. Then there's the 2-step bends, where you go, you make it sound like it's on the 12th fret. That's you know, you don't really want to go too much further than 2 steps. I mean, just come on up here and play it up here, instead of trying to make 2 steps out of it, because you're going to end up busting your strings. You know, you can probably get some really high, some really low gauge strings and be able to, you know, bend 2 steps all the time. But I like sticking around the whole step and the half step bends. All right, so that's some of the basic licks we're going to be incorporating in our rock licks. All right, See you in the next video.